Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israel has killed at least 104 people in Gaza, a third of them children. Journalist Mohammed al-Munirawi and his wife were among the dead. They were sheltering in a tent in Nuseirat in central Gaza. Israel's killed at least 250 journalists in Gaza since October 7, 2023. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz claimed Hamas fighters were targeted in retaliation for the killing of an Israeli soldier in Rafah Tuesday. Hamas said it had no connection to the attack. Here's Abed Awaida, a Palestinian man who lost his nephew in an Israeli strike.
They struck us at 4 in the morning while we were sleeping. They killed us, and they killed the children at 4 in the morning while we were sleeping. They struck us.
Last week, when 2 Israeli soldiers died in Rafah, questions were raised about whether they drove over an unexploded ordnance. According to the aid group Humanity Inclusion, clearing Gaza of these ordnance will likely take between 20 to 30 years. We'll have more on this story later in the broadcast. Hurricane Melissa made landfall in Cuba today as a strong Category 3 hurricane, according to the National Hurricane Center. Cuban authorities evacuated 750,000 people ahead of the storm. Melissa hit Jamaica yesterday as a Category 5 hurricane, lashing the island nation with 185-mile-per-hour winds, leaving more than 500,000 people without power. We'll have more on this story later in the broadcast. The Pentagon confirmed Monday it carried out another 3 military strikes on 4 vessels in the eastern Pacific Ocean, killing at least 14 people. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth again claimed the boats were being used for narco-trafficking without providing any evidence. One survivor was rescued by Mexican Navy authorities about 400 miles from the coast of Acapulco, as Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said Tuesday her government does not support the strikes. Since September, the U.S. has carried out attacks on at least 13 boats in the Caribbean and the Pacific Ocean, killing a total of more than 50 people in strikes that have been widely condemned as illegal. The U.S. government secretly attempted to bribe an airplane pilot working for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to help capture and turn him into U.S. custody. That's according to an investigation by the Associated Press detailing how a longtime U.S. Homeland Security investigations agent approached the pilot after learning last year that 2 private jets frequently used to transport Maduro were stationed in the Dominican Republic. The HSI agent, identified as Edwin Lopez, told the pilot to divert Maduro's flight to a site where he could be arrested by U.S. authorities in exchange for a multi-million-dollar reward. Lopez stayed in touch with the pilot, identified as Bitner Villegas, over the course of at least 16 months. The Trump administration's accused President Maduro of being a drug trafficker without evidence, offering $50 million for information leading to Maduro's arrest in what critics say is another attempt at destabilizing Venezuela, a major producer of oil. Amnesty International is calling a U.S. strike in April on a prison in Yemen that killed dozens of detained African migrants a war crime. It followed a similar strike on the same prison compound back in 2022 by a Saudi-led coalition targeting the Houthis. Christine Beckerle, Amnesty's deputy Middle East and North Africa director, said, quote, "I didn't actually believe that it was possible that the U.S. would carry out an airstrike on the same compound, resulting in a significant level of civilian harm," she said. The U.S. federal government shutdown has entered its 29th day. The Senate yesterday failed for the 13th time to pass a Republican-backed spending bill that would end the shutdown. Meanwhile, 25 states and Washington, D.C. are suing the Trump administration over the suspension of SNAP, that's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. The states are asking a federal judge in Massachusetts to order the Department of Agriculture to provide SNAP food aid benefits for November. In their lawsuit, the state officials write, quote, shutting off SNAP benefits will cause deterioration of public health and well-being. Ultimately, the states will bear costs associated with many of these harms, unquote. The Trump administration has vowed to not tap into a $5 billion contingency fund to keep SNAP benefits. It comes as a federal judge in San Francisco indefinitely halted the Trump administration from firing thousands of government workers during the shutdown. This is Mark Rausch, a vice president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association.
It's affecting us because we have to figure out what we're going to do with what little money we may have left in savings, or how are we going to figure out, are we going to get more money coming in? We're going to start driving Uber, we're going to start doing maybe DoorDash, figure some other kind of way to generate income while still going to our jobs in air traffic control facilities and doing the work in aviation safety professions across the country without getting paid.
In Texas, Houston advocates are demanding justice after federal immigration agents reportedly beat and choked a 16-year-old U.S. citizen and his father during a traffic ambush while the two drove to school. The teen, Arnaldo Bazan, and his father, Arnulfo, were reportedly pulled over by agents in unmarked vehicles. The teen said he saw how agents kicked, punched his father, and then when he attempted to interfere, the agents also assaulted and choked him. The teen's father, Arnulfo Bazan, has been deported to Mexico. In New York, as masked agents continue to detain immigrants attending court hearings and appointments at Manhattan's 26 Federal Plaza, a dramatic scene unfolded earlier this week when a Colombian man was filmed pleading with masked agents not to arrest him before his hearing.
Don't take me like that, please. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. Dude, hey, don't be like that. Why are you gonna grab me like that? Please, no, hey.
ICE agents have also reportedly been taking entire immigrant families into custody for questioning inside 26 Federal Plaza. In more immigration news, a father from Laos has been deported despite a federal court order blocking his removal to a country he's never been to in his life. Chantila Sean Suvanarath lived in Alabama. His wife and two children are in the U.S. According to the court filings, he was born in a refugee camp in Thailand and was granted lawful permanent residence in the U.S. before he turned 1 year old. He was detained by ICE in June in front of his two younger children during an annual immigration check-in, according to his wife. His father is a naturalized U.S. citizen, which would allow him to claim citizenship as well. In a letter from detention, he wrote, quote, I continuously lived in the United States since infancy, and I have always considered myself an American citizen, unquote. A federal judge has intensified her oversight of Trump's immigration crackdown on Chicago, now requiring top Border Patrol official Gregory Bavino to appear daily in court and to turn over all reports of agents' use of force and body camera footage. Judge Sarah Ellis also told Bavino to get a body camera to wear himself as his agents intensify attacks on protesters and bystanders during immigration raids across Chicago. We'll have more on this story later in the broadcast. Wired reports Customs and Border Protection searched a record number of phones and electronic devices at U.S. border ports of entry over the past fiscal year. Through the end of September, border agents conducted over 55,000 searches of electronic devices without a warrant, a spike of 17%. Since Trump's return to office, people crossing through U.S. ports of entry have also reported long detention periods and being denied entry into the United States over messages on their phone. Border agents have broad powers to search and detain people, including U.S. citizens and green card holders within 100 miles of the international border, dubbed the Constitution-Free Zone. This comes amidst reports CBP is expanding its collection of biometric data of non-citizens, photographing and fingerprinting all people who enter and leave the United States through ports of entry. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is replacing ICE's leadership at half the country's field offices with Border Patrol officials in regions where President Trump is demanding more immigration raids and arrests. President Trump is in South Korea for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum, that's APEC, as part of the last leg of his 6-day Asia trip. Trump met with South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung today, where they discussed a trade deal for securing South Korea's $350 billion investment in the U.S. Outside the meeting, demonstrators protested Trump's arrival in the country.
Korean workers believe that Korea has been under U.S. domination for a long time since liberation. Now it is time to end that. They are angry because Trump's visit to Korea is not about attending APEC. It is about pressuring South Korea into investing in the U.S. and accepting the tariffs. That's why the workers come to Gyeongju feeling outraged about the visit.
A Reuters investigation has found President Trump's family amassed more than $860 million from sales of crypto assets in the first half of the year. Reuters detailed a Dubai meeting back in May where Eric Trump pitched investors to purchase $20 million of governance tokens in the Trump family's crypto business, World Liberty Financial. A Reuters review of the digital wallets holding large amounts of World Liberty tokens found the vast majority of them were held by overseas buyers. It comes as Donald Trump Jr. serves as an advisor to a drone company that was just awarded the Pentagon's largest ever contract to supply parts. And in Brazil, at least 64 people were reported dead during a massive raid on a favela in Rio de Janeiro. Over 2,500 law enforcement agents stormed the favela, home to some 300,000 people, as authorities claimed it's the headquarters of one of Brazil's most powerful organized crime groups. This is a cashier who witnessed the operation, described as the deadliest raid in Rio's history.
It's tense. It's very tense. I've never been through this before. I'm from Carioca, born and raised here in Rio. I live here in Rocinha, and it's chaos. So I've never seen anything like this before. It's terrifying.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by Democracy Now!'s Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.